All right, let's dive right in. We're going to get into the science of musical nostalgia and figure out why those songs from when you were a teenager seem to be stuck with you for life.
I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. Is there a part of you that's convinced that the absolute peak of all popular music just happened to line up perfectly with your high school years? It's a feeling so many of us have, but is it real or just a trick of our memory?
So, is it just a feeling? Well, as we're about to see, there is a fascinating scientific reason our teenage anthems have such an incredible power over us.
That's right. It is not just you. Researchers have been digging into this for decades, and they've confirmed it. People have a clear, measurable preference for the music that was popular during their late adolescence. But, and this is the interesting part, finding the exact peak age has been surprisingly controversial.
And here it is. This is the number that a brand new study has finally landed on, 16.8 years old. That is the precise age, according to the latest science, when our preference for popular music hits its absolute peak. Now, to understand how they found this, we first need to get a handle on one key concept. Researchers use this idea called song-specific age, or SSA for short. It's actually really simple. If a song was a huge hit in the year 2000 and you were born in 1985, your SSA for that song is 15. See? It's just your age when the song was big. And this one little number is the key to unlocking the whole mystery.
But, finding that peak age was not a straight line. For over 30 years, there have been conflicting studies, creating a genuine scientific debate.
And this timeline just lays out the whole drama perfectly. It all started back in 1989 with this huge seminal paper that said the peak was 23.5. Then, in 2013, a study trying to replicate the findings came out with a shocking result, 9 years old. The original authors pushed back, they reanalyzed the data, and got 19. It was messy, and this whole conflict is exactly why a new, more rigorous study was so badly needed.
So this is the huge disagreement we're talking about. How could two studies be so incredibly far apart? One says you're in college, the other says you're in the third grade. This was the scientific puzzle that this new research set out to solve once and for all.
So, how did they finally settle this debate? Well, the researchers behind the 2022 study used a larger, more representative group of people and, most importantly, a new and much better way of analyzing the data.
Here's the breakdown of what they did. They got over 1,000 people from all across the US, aged 18 to 84. They played them 30-second clips of 34 different pop songs, spanning from 1950 all the way to 2016, and then just had them rate each one. A pretty simple design, but the real magic was in the analysis. You see, the old studies tried to fit all the data points onto a single smooth curve, like a parabola. But this can actually be pretty misleading. If the data isn't perfectly symmetrical, the model can calculate a peak that doesn't really match what you're actually seeing in the numbers. Just look at this. Using the exact same data from the new study, the old method, that quadratic model, gives you a peak age of 10. A slightly more complex model gets you to 17.6, but the new, more robust method gets you that very specific 16.8. This really shows how much the statistical tool you choose actually matters.
So what is this new method? It's called the two lines test. And instead of forcing one single curve onto the data, it finds the best fitting straight line for the upward trend of our musical tastes in childhood. And then it finds the best fitting straight line for the downward trend as we get older. The peak is simply the precise point where those two lines intersect.
And this is exactly why it's a better approach. It's a more data-driven way to find the true turning point, giving researchers way more confidence that 16.8 isn't just some statistical fluke, but that it reflects a real cultural phenomenon. Okay, so the magic number is right around 17. But why? What does this all mean? Well, it's not just about the music itself. It's about what's going on in our brains. Adolescence is this time of intense identity formation, and our brains are literally wiring themselves for the future. The music we listen to becomes the soundtrack to that entire process, embedding itself deep into our personal story. Which brings up a huge question for our modern world. Has the rise of Spotify and Apple Music totally changed this pattern? With access to basically all the music ever recorded right at our fingertips, are we breaking free from this nostalgia trap? The data suggests the answer is maybe.
This peak age of 16.8 is noticeably younger than the 23.5 that was found in that original 1989 study. And one of the main theories is that because kids today have much earlier and wider access to music, this whole critical period of taste formation might just be happening sooner. Now, as with all good science, we have to mention the caveats. This study only focused on US pop music, not jazz or classical or specific subgenres of hip hop. And of course, individual tastes are going to vary a lot. Plus, this is just a snapshot in time. We still don't really know what the full long-term effects of streaming are going to be.
But even with those limitations, the study's conclusion is really powerful. The fact that we are so deeply connected to the music of our teens is, as the researchers put it, a cultural phenomenon. It taps into what psychologists call the reminiscence bump, our tendency to have stronger memories of our adolescence and early adulthood. That music isn't just a song, it's practically a time machine.
So what this all means is that this connection we feel is real, it's powerful, and science is finally getting a solid handle on it. And that leaves us with a final question for you. What was the one anthem that defined your life when you were 17?